Good morning everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is Friday the 19th of July 2024. It's a beautiful 72 degrees this morning. The sun is just now coming up. It's a little bit after 6. And if everything looks orange today in the video, the tractor's supposed to be orange because it's a little B Allis Chalmers. But it's because of all the smoke in the sky in the area from all the fires that are burning here in the state of Idaho that you never hear about on the news because nobody cares about Idaho. Anyway, we're going to get on with the restoration project today of Little B. I've got a wiring kit from Brillman we're going to put in, and we're going to see how that goes, and if we can get enough done today before it gets too hot and I have to go inside to get out of the heat, we might even take it for a test drive. Yeah. So stay tuned. By golly, we've been in the triple digits for almost 2 weeks now here at Dave's Old Iron, and here in the garden it's been so dadgum hot even the garlic has taken its clothes off. Got a real nice package from Brillman Company. Has all the wiring and everything in it. It's complete and it's tagged and everything's numbered so that you know where wires go to where. But I'd ordered this for a magneto ignition, and look at what it says right here. Must be used with a distributor ignition only. So I guess we aren't going to be doing any rewiring of the little Allis Chalmers B today until I can get this exchanged for one for a magneto ignition. Yeah, that's a real disappointment. Anyway, hadn't noticed that till just now. The kit looks like it's really a good kit. Nicely packaged, nicely labeled and whatnot, but yeah, the little B here, she's got a magneto, not a distributor. So let's send this back and get a different one. Dang it. Now I did get a nice battery cable from them. It looks like an original, cloth covered. I could have gone with just a plain Jane cable with a vinyl cover, but you know what? If we're going to do it, might as well make it look somewhat right. Right? Right. Yeah. So anyway, we'll get this put on. Well, before I went and got all nuts on sending this back and cussing Brillman, I decided to give him a call. And I got a hold of John at Brillman. And he says, yeah, it's got to be used for a distributor ignition only because it has wiring in it to energize the alternator. I forgot basic electrical wiring 101 for a 3-wire Delco SI alternator. I did. So they don't make a 3-wire Delco 10 SI kit for anything other than a distributor because you have to have the exciting wire coming off a starter switch to energize the alternator to make it put out power. So he says don't use wire number 80, which is the ammeter to ignition switch, which powers an ignition switch, which this one doesn't have, obviously. Or use wire 130, because that's the ammeter to starter button, which is used with the magnetic solenoid starter switches. Yeah, so this one doesn't have one, so we don't use one, and that sort of thing. And I talked to him. I said, well, do you have a kit for the magneto? Nope, sure don't, not with a 3-wire alternator. So how is this tractor powering and recharging its battery? At this point, I don't know, unless somebody converted it to a 1-wire with adding a internal voltage regulator to the alternator, and they just put in the plugs. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Now this is the plug I'm referring to, is this thing right here that plugs in to the alternator, and it's actually got a wire. It comes down here to this hot wire here, and it's got this one that goes to I don't know where. And this is the wire that is concerning us because in a key switch there's a place to hook that wire to energize this alternator to make it put out power. So what they've done, I have no idea, and I'm like John, if it's charging the battery, somebody's put an internal voltage regulator in here, and these don't really need to be hooked up to anything. Basically, the rest of the kit is identical for the lights and all that type of thing, but what I'm not using is this plug right here on this kit. So what we're going to do is test this alternator, see if it has been converted to be used as a one wire, or convert it to a one wire, or just flat out get a new one and that is a one wire alternator, and I can go ahead and use this kit. Only thing is, on wire number 50 right here, is I got to cut this thing off. Yeah, cut it back here at this crimp terminal, get rid of this thing entirely. This wire I may leave in there for use on heaven only knows what else. I thought it might be kind of fun to add a horn to this thing of some sort, so I might leave this wire here as part of this wire loom to run a horn with. Mount a switch up on the steering column there somewhere so I can push a button and have a beep beep. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, save this, and we're going to go ahead and install it today. Yeah, I don't know how far we're going to get, but yeah, we're going to get there. Yeah. Next thing to do is clip all these old wires to get the instrument panel off of here. Again, these blue wires were coming from the alternator. We aren't going to need those. Now that I'm cutting these wires, I see what they did to energize the alternator. Yeah, see, all this time, pardon the wasp nest, we'll get that out of there. All this time I thought that switch right there was just simply an on and off for the alternator, or the magneto. Well, apparently it's a 6-lug thing, so there's a hot in, hot out, and then hot to other places or whatever. So apparently this was a 2-position with off in the center, so you'd flip it one way to energize the alternator, middle shut everything off, or disconnected everything, and down was the kill switch to kill the thing. So kind of an ingenious idea. I wish I'd have noticed that earlier. Like I said, hadn't run this thing all that often, and I hadn't noticed that one way was to turn the thing on and make it energize and run, but that's what they were doing. That's how they got away with the energizing the polarity output or whatever on the alternator. Yeah, so we're going to do something a little different with that there. And of course, the amp gauge is falling apart. So yeah, the glass is out of it. That plastic in there, that white plastic, was the ring that the light, when it fitted with a light bulb, would show through and show if that was working. So yeah, that amp gauge, it doesn't show it's doing anything anyway. So yeah, it's going to go away. I've already removed the plug out of the terminal on the alternator here, and going to use this old nasty pair of vice grips and do this nut here, get it loose so I can undo it. Okay, so that needs to go away, and there's the blue one, was the power lead wire to go to wherever it went. The next thing to do is we're going to remove the alternator off of here, and we're going to change out the mounting bracket that's under it from a generator to one of the new alternator style brackets. Yeah, okay, out comes the alternator. We got it off the belt. There we go. Now let's take a look, see what we got in here. Okay, they've got some sort of modified top bracket bolted to the exhaust manifold here for the tension adjustment arm. And then down here, I'm not sure, it looks like they've welded on this piece here, and they welded on a piece of generator bracket from another generator onto here, because this one was supposed to bend straight out about in here. Yeah, it comes straight out here. So this whole generator bracket is shot, toast. It's going to go away. Next, I'll take my drill with a wire brush on the end of it, just kind of clean up the ends of where the bolts go in there. These little embossed pads that are raised up off the side of the block. I'll just clean that up a little bit in case we need to have a little bit better electrical connection for whatever reason, and yeah, just because it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I purchased one of these nifty little alternator bracket kits that mount on here. So we'll get that put on there right quick. Yeah. And then we'll put on the adjusting arm that goes with this kit. Now this kit comes with its own bolts with that built-in washer underneath the head, which is a nice little feature. Yeah, so we'll insert those and use those. I'm not going to tighten anything up just yet until we figure out what we're going to do with the alternator, and or get it repaired, and or buy a new one, and or whatever. So I'm just going to leave these as finger tight sort of for now until we get the alternator that we are going to use on here, because it's got to get adjusted front and back, that sort of thing. Now the top adjusting bracket for the belt tension on the alternator is through via a bolt right here that holds the water pump on. So yeah, once again, just snug tight enough to hold this thing. Yeah, this little bracket's kind of cute. It's got a bend in it down here and a bend in it up there to get it back lined up right for the alternator. One other thing I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull the fan belt off of this little tractor. After looking at it, it's starting to look and act a little crusty. So we're going to grab us a new one and put a new one on here while we're in here fooling with all of this. Yeah. All right, well, there's the connection right there, and as you can see why I said it needs to have clearances, because of this wire or rod right here that works the starter mechanism. Yeah, that cable, pull out here, that cable has to clear that, and now we got it hanging clear out here in space. See all the space there? Now I've got it hooked up to the battery, but keep in mind this battery is too long to fit here in the box sideways like it's supposed to be. So if this terminal is over here like it should be, that'll take care of some of that. But yeah, I'm not that crazy about that. I may remove the end of the battery cable that attaches to the starter mechanism that is a straight through, like my hand, with a hole in it for the bolt to attach for the starter lever mechanism. So what I may get is what they call a flag style end. Pretend like my thumb here is the cable, and then it makes a 90-degree turn with the hole here. They call it a flag end as the term I know it as. But I may get that and put on there just to make that cable hug into the tractor a little bit closer. And if I do that, I might be able to get the cable to run up against this piece of sheet metal right here. And that would put it more in line with coming through an original opening in the battery box. This is an original box. I need to get parts and pieces to fix it or replace it with a new one. Anyway, that would get the cable tighter to that so it isn't hanging out here in space. And yeah, of course, like I said, got a battery that sits in here correctly. The terminal will be back here. That'll help shorten that up. But as it is right now, yeah, that cable's a couple inches too long. Are you ready for this? By golly, this is going on while I'm out here. There it comes right there. That particular aircraft is spraying for aphid bugs around here. It's a crop duster. It's also the same type that our military has figured out makes a pretty cheap and effective ground attack airplane. Yeah, and a little spy plane. So yeah, low budget, and they do the job. So why not use it? Yeah, because they're built for all sorts of acrobatics, really. Here he comes again, popping right up over the power pole. There he is. Yeah. Quite fancy little machines there. Well, now that I know what I'm looking for in the way of parts for the little Allis, I'm going to go ahead and order in a set of headlights for the thing. I'm going to order in a negative wire strap style battery cable for the thing, be about 10 inches long. Plus, we need to take the alternator in and see if it can be converted, or if I just need to flat out buy a brand new one-wire alternator for the thing and put on it. Plus, I got to come up with some sort of a switch to run the lights with. So that's all coming up in another video. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and thank you very much for subscribing down there at that bottom corner down there, the big red thing. You know who you are. We got a bunch of new subscribers out there. So y'all have a good one, and catch up with you later. Bye-bye for now.